Already talking about how he's going to keep things on task with a
Pledge.
pinch.
You want to do this
Pledge.
in 50 seconds, 50 minutes?
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Mr. English, would you lead the pledge? I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that will move us to patron comments. Any school district patron may present information to the board at this time. Presentations will be limited to no more than 5 minutes. The board will not take action on any issue not included on the published agenda. However, all comments will be taken into consideration by the Board of Education. Patrons are requested not to discuss individual faculty, staff, or students. Patrons are reminded that this is a public forum and comments relative to individuals could result in litigation. However, any patron may request to meet with the board in executive session. No response will be given by the board at this time. All right. We do have one name on the list, and that's Miss Joanne. On here, it does say that you're not a resident or an employee. Okay. Is that, one sec. What's our board policy say? Could come up for a minute? All right. So now we don't have anyone on the list for comments. While I'm looking, and does anybody want to say something? All right, very good. That will take us to reports. We will start with the superintendent's report.
Very good. Highlights this month. We do start with our year-to-date operating revenues and expenses. This is what you're seeing is just for the month of July, so it's the very first step. And you can see that we are more or less tracking where we have been in the last couple of years. We are also tracking, we're showing our health premium overages. We have budgeted $900,000 for overages for the school year, and so far we have not applied anything towards that. And then we are introducing something new this month, and that is to give you an update on our progress for all of the updating to curriculum that we intend to do over the next 2.5 years. So we are at 49.83% of our curriculum is updated to our current standards and processes. And our thought is, since this is obviously not going to change every month, that we would bring this particular highlight back to you after every time you approve agenda or approve curriculum. So it would essentially be 2 to 3 times a year we bring this one back. And then we would continue to track our overall attendance towards our year-end attendance goal. And again, the attendance, we've been tracking it the last couple of years. It doesn't change significantly from one month to the next, so we thought if we took a break from attendance once in a while and we dropped in curriculum when it is more relevant, we thought the board might be open to that. So before I do want to give a quick summary on just our start of the school year, but before I do, are there any questions or comments on these bar graphs?
Just a quick question. I think, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but attendance is something that we could probably see quarterly and feel comfortable with. I think that we had mentioned last meeting, or maybe a couple of meetings ago, that we wanted to see like the lunch debt issue up here.
Sure.
Somewhere. So that may be something that we want to see pretty regularly.
It could probably be a 3-topic rotation, lunch debt, at least quarterly. Same with attendance, and then curriculum when relevant. We'll just kind of play that out. If there's a month where we feel like it's relevant to report all 3, then we'll make room for all 3.
Okay.
Does that sound
Is
good?
is everybody nodding their head on that? I don't want to speak for, okay. Yep.
Very good. Well, we've had a really smooth start to our school year, and that doesn't come by accident. That's the result of a lot of planning and hard work by our leadership team and our teachers, and as they work together and collaborate. We use our October 1 enrollments for our planning to kind of track how we're doing for student growth. But on the second day of school, we would estimate that we are roughly 80 students, maybe as many as 100 students more than we were a year ago, K-12. So the reason we don't track those first days of school number for year-over-year planning is that our enrollments tend to be artificially high the first days of school because certainly all the new students are here, but not all of the students who haven't shown up for school yet. They've maybe moved away over the summer, and maybe they've moved to a place that doesn't start school until later, and so a lot of times we don't get those records requests till after the first days of school. So, but that's our initial estimate. I will say one thing that's kind of interesting as I look at how many students we have enrolled grade level by grade level. 3 of our largest grade level cohorts are in the high school. So we're really heavy at the high school right now in terms of where do we have the most students. And interestingly, kindergarten and first grade are the 2 smallest cohorts. So I remember years ago where kindergarten through second were the largest cohorts in the grade level in the district. Well, they've now moved through, and the largest ones are now in high school, and so we're pretty consistent. I don't want to say that we risk shrinking over time because I don't think anybody would believe us if we did predict that. But for right now, we have not. This is not the year where that big new class of kindergartners are coming in. So we're 1 student more than we were in kindergarten a year ago. So that's pretty good. Also, we learned today the Grain Valley News newspaper has released the results of their annual voting on best of Grain Valley, and we were voted the best place to work with 20 or more employees. So congratulations to everybody in the organization. And our Bright Futures was also voted best nonprofit community organization. So we're really, really pleased and proud of everybody involved in helping us achieve both of those things. On your calendar events, you have several new calendar reminders. Basically what we've done here is we have included all of your scheduled workshops and business meetings through January down below. There's also the MSBA annual conference, which you've already seen, October 23rd to the 25th. So, and we'll talk more about what you'll see on September 3rd. There's an option to attend the regional meeting, MSBA regional meeting in Warrensburg on the 3rd. Our regional meeting is actually on the 4th, but we're gonna be talking about the workshop that conflicts on the 4th. We'll talk about that later in the agenda. So we would take questions on any of that or any aspect of our superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments on the report overall? So there's a lot of good things that are shown in the report, which is great. Did any of the building admins have any struggles with the start of the year from a building standpoint? Or did everything just go perfectly?
Perfectly imperfect. I think the big question that the world has, or at least Missouri has, is how's it going with the new cell phone expectations? And I haven't talked to Dr. Smith today, but his end of day one was that it went exceptionally well. So is there anything that any of the administrators, anything you want to share about the first couple of days that we'd want to know? I've been around all the buildings. Everything seemed to be going really smoothly. The first day, we get a bus report at the end of each day of how the buses are going. We had a few late buses on the first day, which is not only is it not it's not unusual for that to happen, but this year Mr. Brady reports fewer late buses, fewer young students who maybe ended up on the wrong bus the first time. So we really had kind of a banner year for a start with transportation. And then by day two, by the end of yesterday, I think we were down to just 1 or 2 late buses on our routes. So it went down significantly just in 24 hours. I did talk to Mr. Brady at the end of the day yesterday, and he tells me that they project their bus routes based on who they expect to see riding the bus. And then after the first few days of school, they see who's actually going to ride the bus. And once in a while, they'll need to adjust. So if a bus is overcrowded, then maybe they peel a street or two off of that route, give it to an adjacent route. But that analysis is going on at this time. So he didn't have any direct feedback for me on that one.
All right.
I had a quick question on the preventive maintenance items requested. Are those reoccurring, the 104 requests, and we're just getting started in the year with completing them?
Yeah, that would be correct. So they are typically we have our different times of the year where we have various preventive maintenance that are scheduled, and a lot of times what we see is after the summer work and the rush to the start of the school year, the preventative maintenance percentage drops, and then once everything kind of the dust settles, now they'll pick those back up, and you'll probably see in the next month or two, you'll see the percentage actually go above 100% because they're able to go back and get the ones that they are struggling to get the school year started. So,
Okay.
yep,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. Anything else? Very good. Thank you for that. That would take us to the district assessment plan.
Yes, we bring this before the board this time each year, and it's just an outline of all the assessments that our students would be subjected to over the course of the year. And it kind of outlines, is that not the right? Yeah, that's how it feels, right, as a kid? So who are what grade levels are affected? And so anyway, we've got this laid out, and I would certainly, Dr. Allen put this together and is available to answer any questions.
I have a couple of real quick questions. I probably should know the answer at this point, but I don't. All of these tests are administered on site, and they are all electronic.
As far as all being electronic, not necessarily.
Okay.
But they are all given on site.
On site?
Mhm.
Okay. So,
For example, all of our kindergartners go through the KEA, which we eventually enter the data, but it's done with the student on paper,
okay.
and then we enter in the data later.
Yeah, that one
so.
makes sense. Yep, okay. All of the high school ones and middle school, those are all
Mhm.
electronic, I assume. Okay.
Think of an exception.
What was that?
He's
Okay. All right.
pretty new just in the last couple of years that they've shifted to digital, so.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a weird question. How many, do we ever get like the total of who takes what, like some of them are obviously everybody in that grade, but some are like ASVAB, for instance. Do we ever get like a number on how many do it?
We do have not, I mean, I don't have it at my fingertips, but yes, we do track the number of students for each one of these. Part of that becomes part of our score for our APR too, sort of our post-secondary readiness. We essentially get a score depending on how students do, depending on which test they think best fits their post-secondary work. So just like you said, not every student would take that. They may take the ACT instead, but whichever test they take, depending on how they do on it, does work towards our post-secondary score for our APR too.
All right. Any other questions on the assessment plan? Okay, very good. Thank you. That will take us to the background checks for volunteers. This is a change in our process from previous.
Yeah, we wanted to circle back with the board on this. We're making some changes. Probably what's really worked out to help us make the kinds of changes we want to make is we are moving to a different vendor to provide the background check service. And you can see that with DataSource, who we're moving towards, you can see the databases that are searched. We can now be more confident that it's a 50-state search, whereas before it was a little bit more limited. This one can still be limited. You know, I think it's by county. Each county gets to decide if they're participating in these databases or not, but this one has much higher participation, and it's from across the country. We're also making a change that instead of the volunteer background check being good for 5 years, we're going to tighten that down to 2 years. And then if we have any, we also reserve the right to do it more often with individuals if we have reason to believe that another background check is needed. For example, anytime any visitor to school comes in, they participate in the RAPBAC, or the Raptor. Yes, thank you. And if anything ever gets flagged on Raptor, and we're sitting on a 1-year-old background check on that individual, and they want to go on be a field trip sponsor, then we will say we need to run a new background check. So we always reserve the right to do that or to limit somebody's participation. We're also tightening up our expectation language to make sure that it is clear that if we have volunteers helping on a field trip, no matter where that field trip is, that there's a background check for each of those volunteers. And then there is a fingerprinting background check for a level 4. You see the types of reasons listed at the bottom of the second page. For basically anybody that's in a situation to have more of a one-on-one connection with a student or have one-on-one time with a student, we want to make sure that we have fingerprinting done, and that registers them in the RAPBAC system. So in that case, once you're fingerprinted, then let's say a year or two later, you end up with trouble with the law. The RAPBAC's going to give us an alert that there's a problem with you based on your fingerprints. So these are the things that we're prepared to roll out effective this school year. The cost is on the volunteer, and it drops from $17.25. It is now going to be $12.95, but they are going to be doing that every other year instead of every 5 years. So the overall cost does increase, but the cost per check has gone down. Questions? And then we have Dr. Carrie Reich, Director of Student Services, with us here tonight to also help answer questions. She's our point person at the district level to monitor these processes for us.
All right. Questions?
Yeah, did you want to go first, or?
I think we have the same ones. Go ahead.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. I guess I have 2 general questions. The first is with the volunteers that are listed in the third column down at the bottom, so it's the overnight trip chaperones, et cetera, et cetera. With that group, I appreciate the background check, but then you had mentioned, Dr. Welly, people that may be, one-on-one with students, and that in itself, when it's a volunteer, background check or not, makes me a little nervous. Is there any training that occurs for these individuals that, like, hey, maybe it's not a great idea to be in a room with a closed door
Yes.
with the child?
Yeah, there is the training has also been put into a video. And so every principal is responsible to see that every volunteer, regardless of whether they're a screen volunteer or they're fingerprinted volunteer, that they have participated in the training. They've had their orientation and they've signed off that they've completed that. And it has several thou shalt nots
Okay.
as a part of it, yes.
My second question is around utilization of the Raptor system. When I go into the building, sometimes, frankly, they just look like they're overwhelmed with the number of folks that they're trying to do scans on, and it's a pretty quick process, it seems like. I'm just curious how that's working, and do we have any data around how many times that system's been utilized in a month or whatever?
Yeah, it's pretty busy, especially if there is a school event where a whole grade level of parents are coming in. Yeah, those are big events. I don't know. I have not seen data on those, but we can certainly pull the data and see what we learn from it and circle back. I can find out who it is that's looking at the data and see what we need to do. An elementary office staff is not a large crew, and so we can also make sure that the schools have the support they need on when they're flooded in those kinds of events to make sure they have a plan for how they're covering their Raptor screening process, so that if it's a standalone secretary in an elementary school, there's other hands helping out on that and are trained in how to respond if something is flagged.
So, like, in a situation where there's I'm just going to say talent show for lack of a better example, where we're going to have 40 parents come in, is it still expected that the Raptor system is used, or do we just provide supervision to make sure that parents only go to the bleachers and leave?
Our goal is for every visitor during the school day to be processed in the Raptor system. And if we have gaps in that, then we will, and it's because support is needed, then we owe it to them to get them the support they need to make sure that that's getting done. Yep.
All right, you didn't ask the questions I was going to ask, so. All right, so I'm conflicted on this because I don't want to make it impossible for our staff or volunteers to come do field trips. I'm mainly looking at the database or data source background check process. What is our, how can we be assured that we're doing everything possible to protect all of our students based on a background check that's done every 2 years?
So why every other year?
Right.
Yeah. Dr. Ike, you want that one?
So one of the things that we're changing this year regarding training and expectations for staff related to field trips is not only that everybody that goes on a field trip has a valid, active background check on file, but also adopting a no single adult with a group of students. And so if there's a field trip and there's 5 students, there'll be 2 adults, and the 2 adults will never split up and be alone with a child. So that's just an extra layer. And some field trips, that was the expectation, and some weren't. But we're adopting that as best practice so that we don't have a single adult alone with a single student.
Okay.
So taking it down from every 5 years to every 2, we felt like certainly is a significant improvement and very much minimizes the possibility that we would find ourselves in a situation that somebody gets himself into more trouble 1 year after a background check, 1 year after a screening. So it does not have the same level, it does not have the wrap back feature on it that would come with fingerprinting, but it also doesn't have the cost. And as Dr. Reich pointed out, is the opportunity to be alone with a child is insulated in how the field trip is structured and how groups would be teamed up with each other throughout that process. So, and of course, we always reserve the right to screen somebody. We can deny anybody, and we can screen somebody more often if we have information that leads us to believe that that needs to be done.
And ultimately, when these take place, when the background checks happen, is that level and that layer put on the building principals to make sure that happens?
So, yes, there is a list of approved volunteers, and so as field trips are being planned, if a volunteer is not, or somebody who wants to go on the field trip is not on that list, they will not be allowed to attend.
Okay. Yeah, it looks, I mean, it just feels like there's a lot of extra duty that gets put on the building level admin that just, it's, protecting the students is top of mind, and I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. I as a board member am not looking for a phone call that says something happened and it was on your watch. So that's where I'm at with it. If we as a district feel that this is adequate or the best that we can do or at this time, then that's one thing. I just want to make sure we're thinking about all aspects of it.
Can I ask a related question?
Yep.
With the Raptor system, do we know how often that is updated? So it's going out and it's scraping for warrants and sex offender lists. How often is that is that real time? It's uploading every morning? What's the?
I'm not 100% sure how often their system is, but I mean how often it cross-references with the sex offender database. I can check into that with the Raptor group. I can make an assumption and say I'm sure it's pretty real time because those have to be updated, you know, as soon as a new person is on the system, and we have to be able to be confident that we would have most up-to-date information. But I can confirm.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd just be curious to know what the
I mean, I'm
cadence
sure
is on that.
I might even be able to find that while we're still here. So
Okay.
yep, let me look into it.
So kind of a follow-up question. I won't spend too much time on this topic, but if I've gone through, let's say I'm in this third group here where I've gone through the criminal background check, I still have to go through Raptor when I come in the building, right?
Correct.
It's not, so any of these, well, the second two, I still have to go through one just to get in the building.
Correct.
Okay.
And Raptor is real time.
Yeah,
It is real time?
Yeah, and
Okay.
and that would actually, so if Raptor is real time, but a background check would be done, you know, every year or however often, if somebody were to do something next, you know, a week ago, even though their background check was months ago, but they were put in the sex offender registry, that's why we would do that every time they
Okay.
come into a building, is so we would have the most up-to-date information on that.
So as long as we're layering these and not looking at them as silos, I feel like that's probably the best we can do.
One of the major advantages on the new data source that we're using is, you know, because it's 50 states, it's that previous residence when 8 years ago they lived in a different part of the country. So now we've scoured that. That's not going to change in the next couple of years. But if something is committed more locally or while they're living locally, then we should get that on their Raptor check when they visit the building. So yes, the layering, we feel good about the level of layering that it does for our volunteers. But the other thing we can do is we can make sure that there's no confusion about the expectation that even our field trip volunteers, when they come in the building, they need to be raptured that day. So there should be no assumptions that because they're going on a field trip, they can bypass the Raptor. So if there is any question on that, we can make sure that that's clear. The layers only work if you're using them.
All right, and, go ahead.
Just a quick question. So are all our teachers having to line up all their volunteers, I'm assuming early, well in advance, when school starts or whatever, they've already got their trips lined up and they're gathering all their parent volunteers the first part of the school year, or how does that work?
Yeah, so communication has already gone out to families regarding the need for a background check. That happens every year at the beginning of the school year. And then as they're approaching field trips, grade levels, primarily elementary, is who's going on more field trips. But they'll reach out to their families and share this field trip's coming up. You have to be on, an approved list in order to volunteer to be a chaperone on this trip. And then they have the opportunity. There are times when people are trying to last minute sneak it in, but that will be 100% on data source's ability to process. And if they're not passed, they are not selected to be a participant in that field trip.
Yeah. I figured there had to be a time frame, right? And so I didn't know so teachers are during the school year, they're trying to get all that, and encourage parents to go get that done and all that kind of stuff, all the way up until whatever that deadline is to get that done before the
Correct.
field trip.
Yes.
And is that quite a hardship?
It's the regular communication that happens, like field trip is coming, and there's always the standard people that are interested every year, and so they're on top of that and make sure that it happens. But as there are other families that maybe this time it will work out, need to do that, I wouldn't say that it's a hardship. It's really, here's the information, here's how you go about it. If there's a financial hardship, let us know.
Yeah.
We throw that information out, and the parents that are interested will complete that process.
But we generally have plenty of volunteers to pull from for
to
all
go
of our
on field
and all
trips,
kinds of-
absolutely.
Okay, good.
All right,
And
any,
I did want to
Yep.
interject one more thing. Dr. Welly he made a great statement earlier where he says our goal is to try to raptor every person that comes in. I will say that in the event that we do have it was mentioned like talent shows, if we have something that is hundreds of people, what we do, and it was stated correct, that we do corral them in one specific area, ask them to write their names down, have documentation of that, but actually making 200 or 300 people go through that before they can get in would take hours. And so they are confined to that particular space, and then when it's over, they are kind of ushered out the doors by our administration and our school resource officers, and in situations like that, they're not allowed to go back into any part of the buildings. So they're only allowed right there. But again, if we did have an event where there were dozens of people, yeah, we would still the expectation would be to go through Raptor. But on the ones where we're talking about, hundreds and hundreds of people. So I just wanted to make sure that was answered correctly. So
Thank you.
For me, because it was talked about, is this how it's done? And it's actually done both ways, the way he said and another way as well. So
Thank you.
all right. Dr. Reich, when we started the conversation, it looked like you might have had something else to add to, like, the criminal background check as far as what one-on-one groups might, training, things like that. Did Dr. Welly cover it? Okay. Just wanted to get back around to that. All right, anything else on background checks for volunteers? All right, very good. That will take us to unfinished business. This is board member key cards for building access. I would look for a motion to authorize the superintendent to issue limited key card access to school board members after a criminal background check and approval at the discretion of the board secretary and superintendent.
Second?
Is there a second? All right. We will have discussion on this topic. I'm going to break from the norm and start this conversation, hopefully to get to an end. This has been a lot more discussion and time into this than I ever thought it was going to be. But I think for one of the reasons that I've looked at this and think that it's a good idea is we as board members and elected by our constituents get asked quite often about how we are able to do any type of monitoring or verification of things that gets done. It's our job to approve all different changes to policies and things like that. Our name is associated and linked to all of that. And we do have one employee, which is the superintendent. But at the same time, we give the superintendent the authority to act on our behalf, but we still have to be able to have that ability to, it's trust but verify would be the way I would look at that. I don't know that this key card access would ever be used. I mean, there is precedent around other districts that do have this, and that board members do have it. Found out today that we don't actually know if any of those board members have ever used it, but it's just one of those things that is available. It was communicated, last meeting about access into the leadership center, things like that, and that's why I have put it on the agenda as an action item for tonight. So if there's any other questions or comments.
Are we proposing then that we're going to write MSBA policy to meet?
So it would be at the, as the action or as the motion is worded, it is a procedural at the discretion of the superintendent. And Dr. Willie, you've had conversations with the MSBA as far as the motion, and they were okay with the wording.
They were okay with the wording. They certainly advise against the move overall for various reasons. But yes, they did look over the motion language and said that it would suffice without the need to change policy. So with the passage, with the language that you have motioned and second, a board member who meets the criteria and is issued limited key card access to schools would still be bound by policy that as an individual board member visiting a school, you would be limited to visit that school during the school day. You would be limited to visit that school at a main entrance where visitors are received. You would still have to check in with the office as a visitor, and you would not be allowed any additional access outside of any other visitor to the building. So you're still bound by policy. You just don't have to ring the doorbell.
So to me, that just sort of begs the question, what's the point? I don't, and I am not, trust me, not looking to go sneaking through schools at midnight looking for problems. That's not what I'm after. I guess my point is if it's going to be with those requirements, we're solving a problem that wasn't really a problem to begin with in my mind, but I guess I just don't see the point. I'm struggling with the point if it's going to be with a lot of restrictions. I felt like when we talked about it earlier, it was this building during board meetings, and seems like it's morphing a little bit. So just asking why do we want this? And it sounds like, Jeff, just from your comments here, that it's to conduct audits almost. And so I'm a little concerned about that.
I wouldn't say that it's to conduct audits. I would say that it's as an elected official to oversee the district, I think, and it's been communicated that people were surprised that board members didn't have key cards and access. And again, I don't know that it would ever be used. And in conversations with other districts and the superintendent, they don't even know if other board members have used that access. But I feel as the oversight unit of the district, that access should be available.
So how do you draw the line between oversight and enforcement? Like if you saw something that you didn't like as a board member, as one board member, what do you do with
No
that?
action would be able to be taken as a single board member. That would most definitely come back to a board as a unit. Nothing from an actionable standpoint would ever change. I mean, nothing can happen until there's 4 members of the board that vote on something.
Jared, can I jump in for 1 second?
Yeah,
As a board, like we act as a whole, and this seems like this is one person being given access that's really not access because they can't go in before or after hours. They have to go through the visitor. They don't have any access to the, it seems very odd the way that it's worded and being discussed, that it's not truly board. Unless 4 of you are getting together, and then at that point you still don't, I'm not understanding this in any way, shape, or form. And so if it were to pass, I would then ask that on the superintendent's report, we get to see who is accessed, because you can run that badge number. You can see if this conversation, if 1 of 7 of us are the only ones ever going into a school building, I don't understand where this conversation is coming from. I feel like we're trying to micromanage our administrators and our superintendents, because if there is something going on in the school, we know about it and we expect them to take care of it. It is not our job to audit, police, look at what's going in there. We have to trust our administrators that they're doing what's right for our students and our community. And I have no business going in a school building and being able to look at that.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
I guess where I would come from is we've done visits before, and couldn't we just continue to do those? Like, still have, if we are escorted and they're still able to go through, maybe we consider that as a process of, if we're from an oversight standpoint. Like, we have done visits before.
And I believe that we'll continue to do the group visits just as we've done them before.
And we've done them on short notice.
Yeah, maybe that's something to consider instead.
All right. Any additional comments?
Yeah, I don't like wake up every day wishing I had an access card, at least not to the district. We do act as a whole as a board, but we make individual decisions to come together. If I had an access card, I don't know that it would ever get used. I do know that other districts' board members do have them. Some policy, some out of common courtesy. To Jeff's point earlier, I don't know if they get used. And I think these are tough conversations. I think that, it could be viewed as policing or auditing or a lack of trust for administration. I wouldn't use it in that way. I think maybe the construction side of me, if a construction project's going on and I get off work late and I want to swing by and see it, again, I could certainly get in contact with administration to let me in. I've chatted with custodial staff after hours to hear their needs firsthand. So it doesn't, in my mind, I guess it doesn't have to be this huge event and this big ordeal just to be able to access the building. I have a lot better things to do with my time than walk into a district building. So I would, if I had one, I don't know if it would ever get used again, but I think at times, again, being able to make decisions, I think more on the building side, the construction side, the hearing the needs of the people, some of the people behind the scenes, maybe after hours, things like that. I would support it. I don't know if I would ever use it though, so.
So you all keep talking about, districts who have this. I will talk from my personal experience of my district's board having access. And I have had up to 7 board members every day for the last 4 days in my building, unannounced, causing, let me back up in case it's on YouTube. They have just let parents come in and walk through the building. They have just went and sat in classes. So I'm, not only from the perspective of all the things that we've talked about tonight, I'm talking about a real live experience that we start here, and then at what point are we just coming and sitting in classrooms or showing up and opening the door for parents or demanding to be seen with the administrator to make sure the cell phone locker is there while we're trying to get 1,400 students in the building. That's the concern, is that it starts here, and then where does it go? So you open the door, and then someone steps in.
So I think we talked about this before, but just to make sure I understand, like if you give me a key card and I have it, and I think what we're asking for is like it gives me the keys to every building. I can badge in to every building, and there is no way with our current system to easily turn that off and on. So for example, I couldn't go to you, Dr. Gooch, or call you or call Dr. Welly and say, hey, I'd really like to walk into Prairie Branch tomorrow. Can you turn that on for me? It's like a work order, and
Yeah, it would be a work order that I would, or whoever would put it in for the individuals in our district that manage that system, and then they would have to log into the system and grant that temporary access.
So just to make sure I understand, Jeff, what you're asking is access to every building on a key card issued to Jared English.
So it right now, the way, yes, it would probably have limited access to every building with what we had talked about with Dr. Welly was within school hours, and that was it. So we would set the parameters in the system, to your
System
point,
restricts.
between school hours, Monday through Friday, so you couldn't go in at other times.
But I still have to follow all the rules.
That's correct. You
Go
still
the
have
front
to,
door.
you still have to follow all
good
the,
stuff.
all the parameters.
So then I guess looking at it from a different angle, then I've got extra liability because now I've got a key card that likely is in the console of my car that could get broken into, that somebody could take, and then they have access to
You,
the
you
building.
only have a key
So
card
it's-
if you
it's
request one.
Really, yeah. But if I had it, then I'm responsible
That's correct.
for that. And if somebody gets a hold of it, it's my problem. Well, it's the whole district's problem, but it's because of me.
Probably just like any staff member though, right? Like,
Sure.
Like
But
anybody could.
all the other staff members, except for maybe administrators and maintenance, it's now locked down to just the building, right? I'm speaking correctly.
Yeah, it's
Just the building.
limited to the building, and it's issued to people who are using it every day, so they always have it on their person, so it's actively being used. I don't know that I can't think of anybody that we issue, other than maybe law enforcement, where we would issue a key card to somebody that is not being used. But theirs is for emergency access, so they always have it handy. So, yeah, the key card that's never getting used, that's sitting somewhere, that because you don't use it, you maybe don't even remember where you put it. I mean, that would be on the individual. You're not accountable to the superintendent the way that an employee would be accountable to the superintendent if you misused or lost your badge. You'd be accountable to the board.
And Jeff, just, Mr. Porter, just so we're clear, this isn't like mandated if it passes that everybody has one. It's optional at the
It's
request
not,
of-
it's not a mandate. No, nobody has to, excuse me, nobody has to have it. Nobody has to request it. The second part of that is that if you do request it, that you are agreeing to a criminal background check, which is one of the other things that we've been talking about, trying to figure out how board members can be required to take a background check, since the state can't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I fully support that component. I don't know how to get that done any other way. We haven't thought about it all that long, but yeah. What if I want the background check but not the card? Can I voluntarily do that?
I think so.
Take the
maybe.
card, get the background check, give the card back.
Yeah.
All right. Any additional comments before we go to a vote?
I request a roll call on this one, please.
Yes, sir. All right. Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Dr. Taylor?
No, with the request to have quarterly updates and
Mr. Scully? Mr. English?
Yeah, I gotta go no on this one, sorry.
All right. And I would be a yes. So on a tie, it will not pass. All right. That will take us to new business. And we would look to approve the extra duty position and stipends.
We bring this to you in two segments. This is the time of year that we bring these extra duty positions and stipends to the board. First, we would ask for a motion regarding Tessa Bosserman. She is related to a school board member within the 4th degree, so we'd ask the board to act on her position separately so that any related board member could abstain. And then the second motion would be for the remainder of the list so that the whole board could vote on that list. And we'd also give the opportunity, if there are any other names on the list that are related by marriage or blood to the 4th degree to any board members, this would be the time to let us know so that we could pull those as well. I'm not aware of any others.
All right. I'd look for a motion to approve the extra duty position and stipend for Tessa Bosserman as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, we'll do,
Roll call on this one, please.
we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? I abstain. Dr. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Scully? Yes. Mr. English?
Yes.
And I will be a yes. I would look for a motion to approve the remaining list of district extra duty positions and stipends as presented. All right. We can do this one as a unit. All in favor of the motion, approving the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. That will take us to the addition of one elementary teacher FTE. I would look for a motion to add one elementary teacher FTE.
So moved.
All right.
So our 3 classrooms of 2nd grade at Matthews have 23 students, 24 students, and 24 students. 23 is our threshold. We live within our threshold, but when we have classes that cross the threshold, that's our trigger. If that trigger happens later in the school year, we don't tend to hire a teacher, but we've collaborated behind the scenes, building and district administration. We feel like just days into the start of the school year, we still feel comfortable adding a 4th section to 2nd grade at Matthews. We already have kind of a generic elementary job posted, so we're generating applications. We would work with the families. They would be, the principal would explain to each family what the situation is, and we would keep working our way through until we built a 4th section. But we have the classroom with some adjustments and some movement. We would secure, we're good. We feel good about furniture. We feel good about instructional materials. We do find ourselves in this situation on occasion. I don't think it happened to us last year, but it has happened to us in recent years.
Yeah,
Was it
we
just
had-
last year we
yeah.
did it? So we would, and we'll make the move, and we'll have the conversation with parents once we've secured a teacher. And we are, you got to have the right person. So we will make sure that we have somebody that we are very comfortable with before we make this move. Otherwise, it's not worth making, to be honest with you. So, any questions?
No? So as of now, you do not have a person in mind yet?
Correct. People are telling me who they know and who they like and who they recommend, but we don't have a name to put in place tonight.
All right. All in favor of the motion to add 1 elementary teacher FTE, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Good luck
Thank you.
in finding the right person.
I know.
All right. The next item would be, I'd look for a motion to add a .68 food service FTE.
And that's a whole person, by the way. They just
I say, what is that?
they only work
Is that an
.68
option?
of the time.
We can't explain what it is until I have a motion and a second, Lights.
So move.
Second.
All right. Can you explain this to us now?
Yes. So
68% of-
most of our food service personnel are full-time, but they're not 40 hours. And so they are 2/3 of that, roughly two-thirds of a 40-hour week. So, but it is benefits qualified position at .68. Is that correct? Oh, it is not. So what does it take to be, what's the, you weren't expecting that question. Isn't it 30 hours?
0.75.
0.75, okay.
So
But this is typical, isn't it? Is .68
Yeah.
a typical
Yes, it
cook
is.
position?
Yes, it is.
27 hours and 12 minutes a week.
30.
No, he's saying .68.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's,
He was just doing
that
some
is
quick
really
math in his
precise,
head
and I
here.
appreciate that.
I have a headache now.
I should have put a calculator to this ahead of time. I was told .68 and I just wrote it down.
Right. That was after Mr. Hughes told me exactly how many hours this individual works per day. I think it's 5.5
Okay.
per day, something like that. So
Had to give you a little trouble, you know?
Mr. English, did you have a question?
Real quick, qualification for full-time benefits is district-wide, not based on role, correct? So bus
Correct.
drivers, everybody, it's
that's correct.
7.5. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. It's close. This brings the North Middle School kitchen staff to the same number of people as the South Middle School. And there were also some changes with lunch scheduling a little bit that kind of highlighted the fact that we needed another set of hands. So this is paid for, this is covered out of Mr. Hughes's operating budget, which he'll be fine. He won't have trouble balancing or for the school year.
All right. Any additional questions? All in favor of adding a .68 food service FTE, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. That will take us to Number 4, I'd look for a motion to move the September workshop to September 2nd.
Second.
All right. So we want to move this date in order to correspond to when our MSBA search representative can also be present to present their plan and schedule. And she was not available on the 4th because she's doing the district meeting. So I would take any questions on that.
We had kind of volleyed back and forth on time. Are you thinking?
Yeah, so the the time can be up for discussion is if we wanted to try and move it earlier, if we want to just try and leave it at 6 o'clock. Are there any thoughts on that?
Do we, so earlier would work for me depending on how much earlier.
I think the earliest would be 5 o'clock, but I would
Okay.
need to verify with
Okay.
her if that would work first. The standard's gonna be 6, but there could be, if everybody is agreeable, we could try and make it earlier.
And that's a workshop then that we're moving. Does that mean we will have other items on the agenda? or
So
does-
we are going to abbreviate the workshop to, we will still have the, Dr. Reich present,
Program eval.
the program evaluation, but we would move all the, policies, thank you. Head's not very clear. All the policies to the October workshop. So we will still do the first read on policies tonight. Those would then go to October instead of September.
I could probably make 5 o'clock work if it works for everyone else. I couldn't do any earlier, probably.
Okay. Dr. Taylor, you said you were good.
I will
Alright.
have to adjust calendars. If everybody's in agreement, I'm kind of waiting to see if everybody's in agreement to this. I'll have to adjust calendar. So if in the future, if we can, I realize we're doing this to adjust for the person that we need to be here. But this short notice is kind of hard to adjust calendar sometimes, but I'll do my best to adjust my calendar to make this work if it works for everybody else.
Yeah, it's not something that we want to do, but in order to try and maintain the timeline for the search and the rest of the process, this one just had to jump in here. Are there any other questions on that? All right, all in favor of moving the September workshop to September 2nd, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will do that. We will communicate out the specific time. It'll be between 5 and 6 o'clock.
Shooting for 5 if it works out for MSBA.
Yes.
True.
That's correct. Excuse me. That would take us to the MSBA regional meeting, which is on Thursday, September 4th.
So this is just a reminder, if you'd like to attend the regional meeting, you can, I don't know if you can sign up on your own, but you can certainly let Ms. Clappen know, and she can get you registered. There's an alternate on the 3rd if you wanted to go to Warrensburg instead, but just let us know, and if we have a contingent, then we would do that. So,
So
not a required meeting.
you say optional on the 3rd or 4th?
Yes,
Okay.
our region meeting is September 4th, but if you wanted to attend in Warrensburg on the 3rd, you could do that as
Okay.
an alternate.
I'd seen the 3rd on your report,
Yeah,
but not, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
and that came before we knew that we were going to move the workshop to the 2nd. So,
Gotcha.
but really, you could attend either one any year.
All right. Any additional questions on the regional meeting? And after that is the mayor's Christmas tree lighting on December 4th, which is also a board meeting night.
Yeah, so we meet We meet once in December for official business. Now, of course, that might look a little different given superintendent search business, but this doesn't necessarily create a problem for us, but it's just kind of a heads up that the city has a big event on December 4th, and that probably has implications mostly for our elementary school principals who will be on hand at the tree lighting ceremony supervising our student choirs that are there, which I certainly don't have a problem with. It's a way for, as a district, for us to be two places at the same time. It's just a busy time of year.
It is. All right, any questions on that?
He didn't say it very cheerfully.
So,
Like, is that something we're considering, possibly moving that because of that? Is that something that we're,
we weren't,
Looking at or no?
no, we weren't looking at moving that meeting off the 4th.
because I mean, I don't know my involvement yet either.
Oh, in the lighting ceremony?
Well, yeah, just with the church. So I don't know what. We've done stuff with the
Okay.
city with that before. So anyway,
Well, I think as we get closer, if we need to look at maybe adjusting or doing something different, we can work through it.
okay, I was just wondering if we were considering that or if I need to make plans otherwise.
Yeah. As of now,
We are not.
we were not.
Okay.
All right. The next item would be board policies. So we have the local review of 2025A. This is the first read on this bunch of policies that have not been in front of the board for review in 10+ years. Plus, we are also including JCB, which the administration wishes to update with a change based on the recent court cases related to student transfers due to behavior and the required due process. So we have 11 policies that are first read. They're in the board's possession to review, and we will bring these back at the workshop in October to actually talk through. Are there any questions tonight on any of them?
Is MSBA going to make any recommendations before the second read?
On these?
Or is it just more of a review and?
No, these are just the policies that have not been processed from our district for 10+ years. This bunch doesn't have
Okay, so
anything
they're-
from MSBA.
They don't have any recommendations to,
Not as of
Okay.
now, no. All right, any other questions on that?
I don't have a question, but I would ask that the administration look at a couple of these, GBCC and the facilities one, FB, only because they feel like they're inconsistent with the other policies, if that makes sense. Like one of them starts with whereas and reads really weird, and the others are more prescriptive. The other one, I think, says the Grain Valley School District, and it doesn't say the board. So is it our policy or is it not the board's policy? So if you could just glance at those.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the intent is wrong or inconsistent with our procedures. They just don't read consistent with the other policies.
Very good.
All right, very good. Do you want to post an executive session?
I look for a motion to adjourn and go into executive session as authorized by the provisions of section 610.021, number 2, 3, and 13 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
So moved.
second.
Do we need to?
Hers
update
is
that?
correct.
Hers is correct, all right, very good. Motion, was that who?
Who had the first motion?
I had a second.
You had a second. Perfect, thank you. Mr. Pollard,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Taylor, Mr. Scully,
Yes.
Mr. English,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right, thank you, everybody, for coming. We are into executive session.